The sky was supposed to be clear. That was what the astronomers had promised. A calm night. No storms. No falling stars. No strange lights. But the sky lied. Above the northern hemisphere, a ripple tore across the darkness. It was not a meteor shower, not a satellite burning in re-entry. It was something else. Something alive. The first people who noticed were the miners in Alaska. They saw the lights before anyone else. Huge, glowing patterns, shifting like veins across the heavens. Machines, ships, and they weren't hiding. The news traveled fast, carried by shaky cell phone videos and frantic radio chatter. By the time the governments reacted, the whole world already knew. Humanity was no longer alone. But the strange thing was silence. No messages, no greetings, no threats, just the alien fleet, hanging above Earth like sharks, circling a wounded prey. At the Pentagon, General Marcus Hale pressed his hand on the conference table. He was a tall, broad man with tired eyes. He had been preparing for war all his life. But nothing could prepare him for this. "They're not cloaking. They're not even trying to communicate," he muttered. His voice was steady, but his mind was racing. "They want us to see them. They want us afraid." Beside him, Dr. Evelyn Hart adjusted her glasses. She was one of NASA's brightest xenobiologists, and her hands trembled slightly as she typed commands into her console. The data streams flickered on the screen. "They're scanning us," she whispered. "Electromagnetic sweeps, atmospheric probes. They're cataloging Earth like we're specimens in a jar." Hale's jaw tightened. "Do they know what we are?" The answer came not from Evelyn, but from the massive speakers that filled the room with a sudden, alien voice. Metallic, cold, humans of Earth, you will not resist. Your world is no longer yours. Prepare for extraction. The room froze. Officers stared at each other, pale as ash. Extraction. That word carried weight. It was not conquest, not colonization. It was harvesting. Evelyn's voice cracked. "They don't see us as people." Hale's lips curved into something grim. "Then they've already made their first mistake." The fleet descended, not all at once, but in coordinated waves. Silver leviathans, larger than skyscrapers, drifting through the clouds, each one humming with power that made the ground tremble. The first ship landed in the deserts of Arizona. Sand burned into glass under its thrusters. The second appeared over the seas near Japan. The third hovered above London. Everywhere they landed, silence followed. Power grids flickered and died. Radios screamed static. Cities went dark. And then their soldiers came. Not tall and proud like humans had once imagined. Not fragile like the Greys of conspiracy. These beings were armored, insectoid, walking on four legs with two spined arms. Their faces were hidden by masks that hissed with alien air. They didn't speak. They didn't negotiate. They began seizing people, whole families, entire crowds, stunned civilians dragged into glowing cages. On the internet, shaky videos flooded every corner of the globe. Screams, running, soldiers trying to fight back. Bullets sparked against alien shields and fell useless to the dirt. The aliens ignored human weapons like rain hitting stone. In the deserts of Arizona, Sergeant Daniel Cross emptied an entire magazine from his rifle into one of the creatures. The rounds bounced away like sparks on armor. The alien turned its head slowly, clicking, and struck him with a weapon that bent steel like paper. Daniel should have died, but he didn't. Something inside him burned hotter than fear. He pulled himself back up, blood running down his face. His weapon useless, his comrades fleeing. And still, he shouted, "You don't own us." The alien paused. Its mask tilted. For the first time, it hesitated. Daniel's words carried across the live stream, captured by someone's phone before the signal cut. The world heard it. 3 words, a defiance older than war itself. You don't own us. Back in the Pentagon, General Hale replayed that clip again and again. He leaned forward, eyes narrowing. They think we'll bow, he said, voice low. They think we'll collapse. Evelyn looked at him, afraid but curious. Won't we? They're stronger, smarter. We can't fight that. Hale shook his head. You don't know humans, Doctor. When someone tells us it's over, that's when we start fighting hardest. The room was quiet. The war had already begun. Humanity's weapons couldn't touch them. Their shields were too strong. Their technology centuries ahead. But somewhere deep in the marrow of the species, something old stirred. Something aliens had never measured. Defiance. The first sparks of resistance had begun, and the galaxy was about to learn the one truth carved into human history. Extinction is never an option. The aliens thought it was done. The first night after the landings, they harvested thousands. Cities screamed. Families vanished. Highways clogged with cars going nowhere. They expected panic to finish the job. Fear was their weapon. Submission their goal. And yes, fear came. Mothers clutched their children. Fathers broke under the weight of helplessness. The world wept. But something else was born that night. Something the invaders hadn't expected. Anger. In a ruined alley of Phoenix, Sergeant Daniel Cross dragged himself into the shadows. His ribs felt cracked. His left arm hung useless. He should have died hours ago. But the alien's hesitation had saved him. The words he had shouted, "You don't own us," still echoed in his mind. He hadn't planned them. They just erupted like fire from dry wood. And fire spreads. A young woman found him in the alley. She was no soldier, just a nurse, still in blood-stained scrubs from a hospital that no longer had power. Her name was Maya. She knelt beside him without hesitation. "You're alive," she whispered, as if surprised. "Barely," Daniel rasped. She bound his wounds with torn cloth. Her hands shook, but she didn't stop. Daniel noticed something in her eyes. Not despair. Not yet. Resolve. When he asked her why she helped him, Maya gave a bitter laugh. "Because I refused to watch this go quietly." By dawn, whispers moved faster than alien drones. A soldier had stood back up after being struck down. A nurse had defied the harvesters by hiding the wounded. Strangers began to pass the stories along, and the stories changed. They grew sharper, louder. A man fought one of them with his bare hands. A woman tricked their scanners and saved dozens. Bullets don't work, but fire does. Not all of it was true, but it didn't matter. Humanity was doing what it always did when cornered, turning fear into fuel. General Marcus Hale sat in the Pentagon bunker, surrounded by dead screens. The aliens had cut most of the satellites. Half the internet was dark. Still, fragments of data slipped through. He saw Daniel's defiance replayed in grainy footage across private military channels. He saw local militias arming themselves with whatever they had left. He saw civilians in Europe sabotaging alien drones with homemade explosives. It wasn't much, but it was enough. "Dr. Hart," Hale said, turning to Evelyn. "Tell me you found something. Anything." Evelyn rubbed her temples. Her computer was a mess of corrupted data, static-filled transmissions, and alien code they barely understood. But one thing had become clear. "They're not gods," she said quietly. "They bleed power. Their ships draw energy from orbit, but when they come to the ground, they burn fuel. A lot of fuel, and they need constant resupply." Hale leaned forward. "Meaning, they're strong, but not infinite. If we cut off their supply chains, they start to weaken." Hale's lips twitched into the first smile she'd seen in days. "Then we stop thinking of this as an invasion. We start thinking of it as a siege." The aliens, meanwhile, watched Earth with detached arrogance. On their command vessel above the clouds, Commander Kurzul studied the holographic maps. His 6 black eyes glittered like obsidian. The humans scurried below like ants. Unpredictable, fragile. Resistance is within projections. One of his subordinates clicked. Civilian disruption will collapse in 6 planetary rotations. Kurzul hissed, mandibles twitching. You overestimate them. Ants bite when cornered. These creatures, they burn their nests just to sting the predator. Another officer shifted uneasily. They are primitive. Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Shields crack, Kurzul replied coldly. All shields crack. Remember that. He stared at the map of Earth, where glowing red points marked his harvest zones. But then new marks appeared. Small, scattered. Explosions in supply depots. Sabotage drones. Green points. Human resistance. And they were multiplying. In a garage in Texas, farmers stripped down a tractor engine, bolting it onto a makeshift railgun built from scrap. In Poland, miners dug tunnels beneath a captured alien base, filling them with stolen fuel. In the jungles of Brazil, tribes strung tripwires laced with venom, turning alien patrols into corpses. Daniel Cross, still bandaged, still bleeding, found himself leading one such spark. Maya stayed with him, gathering others who refused to run. Teachers, mechanics, teenagers. They carry knives, bats, old rifles. No match for alien armor. Yet they moved like shadows, striking, disappearing, striking again. And every time a cage full of captives was freed, hope spread like wildfire. At the Pentagon, Hale stood before a map filled with scattered reports of resistance. He pressed a hand on the table. This is it. They think we'll scatter. Instead, we unite. Not as nations, as humans. Evelyn's eyes widened. You mean World War? No, Hale said. His voice was steel. World survival. He opened a secure line. One by one, faces appeared. Generals, presidents, prime ministers, even warlords. Old enemies, bitter rivals, and now allies. Listen well, Hale said. Earth has one army now. Every man, every woman, every hand that can hold a weapon or build one. We're done being prey. The aliens underestimated. They always underestimated. Because they could measure human weapons. They could measure human numbers. But they could not measure the one thing that had carried humanity through every disaster, every war, every extinction-level event in its bloody history. Will, that night, across the broken cities and dark forests, across mountains and deserts, a whisper became a battle cry. You don't own us. And for the first time since the harvest began, the aliens felt something unfamiliar. Doubt. The aliens had harvested for days. They expected submission. They expected silence. But what they got was fire. It began with something small. A supply convoy moving through the mountains of Colorado. 3 harvesters escorting fuel pods. Standard operation. Routine. But nothing was routine anymore. High on the cliffs, Daniel Cross lay with his chest bound tight, still weak from wounds. Maya crouched beside him, her eyes fixed on the valley. Behind them, 10 others waited. Farmers, a mechanic, a teenage boy with shaking hands holding an old rifle. Not soldiers, not trained, but ready, Daniel whispered. His voice cracked, but steady. Remember, aim for the pods, not them. Make them bleed fuel. The aliens march below, their insectoid frames gleaming in the sunlight. Their weapons hummed. Their heads jerked side to side, scanning for movement. The humans stayed still, and then the first stone fell. Just a stone rolled loose from the cliff. A simple accident, the aliens thought. But that sound triggered the signal. The humans opened fire. Not rifles, not guns, not even explosives. Molotovs, glass bottles of gasoline, fire bursting against the fuel pods. The valley lit up in a roar of flame. The aliens shrieked as their convoy burned, supply lines collapsing into molten wreckage. One tried to raise a shield, but Daniel's people swarmed. Knives, axes, blades, brutal, primitive, blood-sprayed, black and steaming, alien blood, and for the first time since the landing, an alien died on human soil. News traveled faster than light, not through satellites, not through networks, through mouths, through whispers, through hope. They killed one. They burned their convoy. They bled. Every whisper spread like wildfire. In Africa, resistance fighters heard the news and struck a drone out of the sky using nothing but steel cables stretched between rooftops. In Russia, an old tank division, thought useless, roared to life again with scavenged fuel, smashing into a patrol. In India, slums rose together, throwing fire and chaos at harvesters until their cages burst open. The world caught its breath, and the invincible invaders were no longer invincible. Above Earth, Commander Kurzul watched reports flood his console. His mandibles twitched. His claws tapped against the steel. Impossible, hissed one subordinate. Their weapons are obsolete. Their tactics primitive. Yet they inflict damage. Kurzul leaned forward, voice low and cold. Primitive fire killed our forefathers once. Do not underestimate fire. He zoomed into the Earth's map, where red harvest zones flickered with sun-green sparks. Find us. Daniel Cross, he ordered. Find the fire starter. Meanwhile in Washington, General Hale stood before a map of his own. Red dots marked alien presence. Green flashes marked resistance strikes. He turned to Evelyn Hart. They want one man? Then we give them thousands. Evelyn frowned. You mean spread the myth? Yes. Hale's jaw tightened. Everywhere they look, they must believe Daniel Cross is there. He'll become a ghost, a symbol. They'll waste resources chasing him while the real war grows. Evelyn almost smiled. You're turning one wounded soldier into a legend. Hale nodded once. Legends fight harder than armies. Daniel didn't feel like a legend. His body hurt. His scars pulled with every breath. His people were half-starved, half-mad with fear. But when he saw the freed prisoners stumble out of the burning convoy, their faces lit with fragile hope, he understood something. It wasn't about him. It was about the idea that humanity could fight. That night, around their hidden campfire, Maya whispered, "Do you hear it? They'll tell this story tomorrow. And by next week, it won't even be you. It'll be everyone." Daniel stared into the fire. The flames licked the darkness. "Good," he muttered. "Let them think it's everyone. Because it will be." Across the oceans, resistance hardened. Old enemies shook hands. Soldiers and civilians fought side by side. In London, surviving engineers built EMP bombs from scrapyard parts. In Cairo, street gangs became guerrilla units. In the Pacific, fishermen attacked supply ships with nets laced in explosives. Humanity was not fighting like an army. Humanity was fighting like a storm. Unpredictable, chaotic, relentless. And storms were mountains down. The aliens adapted, yes. Their weapons grew harsher. Their patrols thicker. They scorched cities in retaliation. They slaughtered villages in retribution. But every drop of human blood spilled only hardened the resistance. Every cage opened freed not just captives but rage. The aliens thought fear would crush mankind. Instead, fear had burned away, leaving only fury. And fury is contagious. For the first time since their ships darkened Earth's skies, the aliens lost more than supplies. They lost time. They lost control. And worse, they lost certainty. Because they had seen humans fight for land, for resources, for nations, for pride. But now, for the first time, they saw humans fight for something far more dangerous. Survival. That night, across every continent, voices rose. Quiet first, then louder, then thunderous. You don't own us. The words echoed in cities and forests, in deserts and mountains, and in the darkness above, aboard the great command ship. Kurzul clenched his claws and hissed one word to himself. War. The flames of Colorado never died. They spread. Not real flames, stories. Everywhere, the story burned. They whispered of the man who burned the convoy, who carved the first alien death into Earth soil. They said he wore scars. They said he carried a blade. Some claimed he walked through fire untouched. Others swore he could not be killed at all. Daniel Cross. The name became smoke, a shadow, a ghost, and the aliens began to chase that ghost. On the command ship, Kurzul slammed his clawed fist against the strategy table. Holographic maps shivered. Red markers pulsed where his troops had been ambushed. This is disorder, one officer hissed. One human. One. Kurzul's mandibles clicked. Not one. An idea. And ideas are poison. He turned to his war council. We cut the poison at the root. Burned villages. Level cities. Crushed their myths with terror. Another officer dared to speak. And if the myth survives terror, Kurzul's eyes glowed. Then we burn louder. Beneath the ruined city of Washington, General Hale stood over his warboard. Dozens of eyes watched him. Not just soldiers, farmers, medics, hackers, ex-prisoners. Humanity's scraps drawn together. He raised his hand. The aliens think Daniel Cross is one man. We will make him many. Evelyn Hart stepped forward, eyes sharp. Every strike, every sabotage, every fire, we sign in his name. The bunker murmured, fear mixed with hope. Hale slammed his fist on the table. They want to hunt a ghost. Then we give them a ghost they cannot catch. And so the world became haunted. In Mexico, a train of harvesters derailed, ripped apart by explosives hidden in the tracks. Spray painted on the wreck, cross lives. In Poland, a drone-controlled tower fell silent after an EMP strike. Written on the console in blood, Cross was here. In the jungles of Brazil, prisoners broke their cages and set the forest ablaze. When patrols arrived, trees were carved with one name, Cross. Daniel heard the whispers too, around campfires, in tunnels, in caves. Strangers looked at him differently now, some with awe, some with doubt. One boy whispered to another, "They say he killed 100 by himself." Another answered, "No, 1,000. Daniel sat in silence. He was no legend, just a man bleeding beneath his bandages. Just a man haunted by faces he couldn't save. Maya leaned toward him, her voice low. "Don't fight it. Let them believe. Hope is heavier than truth." Daniel looked at her, his jaw tight. "Hope gets people killed." Maya shook her head. "Hope gets people fighting, and fighting kills aliens." Above Earth, alien patrols thickened. They hunted shadows. Entire villages burned just as smoke out whispers. Yet still, the myth slipped away. Kurzul grew restless. His claws dug grooves in the metal of his command chair. "This human," he muttered, "he teaches them chaos. He teaches them resistance. He teaches them to bleed us." One officer shifted uneasily. "Commander, the supply drains are measurable. We are falling behind schedule. Harvest projections drop each cycle." Silence fell. Kurzul hissed, "Then escalate. Deploy the Shriekers." The Shriekers. Humanity did not know the word. Not yet. They learned fast. In the ruins of Chicago, resistance fighters heard them first. A scream like tearing glass. Then the air split. Metal wings, black as night, swooped through the skyscrapers. Clawed machines, half organic, half metal. Their voices shattered windows. Their claws tore through men. The streets ran with blood, and painted on a ruined wall, just before the Shriekers struck, were the words, "Daniel Cross defies you." The aliens saw the name again. Again. They hunted. They killed. They burned. But the name only spread further. Back in the bunker, Hale read the reports. His hand trembled slightly. Evelyn stood close. They're deploying new weapons. The Shriekers. Whole units wiped. Hale's face hardened. And still the myth holds. That means one thing. They're afraid. He pointed at the map. They thought we'd break in days. Instead, they bleed resources chasing one shadow. Let them. We'll build while they burn. A young hacker interrupted, voice sharp. Sir, we cracked their comms for 5 minutes. Long enough to see they've marked Daniel Cross as Earth's primary agitator. Highest target. The bunker went silent. Evelyn whispered, they don't just fear him. They need to kill him. Daniel sat alone in the dark. His chest ached. His hands shook. He heard voices outside the tent. Survivors speaking of him. Children whispering his name. Soldiers painting it on their rifles. He clenched his fists. He didn't want this. He wasn't a ghost. He was a scar man barely standing. Maya entered quietly. She saw the pain in his eyes. You don't want to be their myth. I know, Daniel whispered. It isn't me. It never was. It's everyone. They need to know that. Maya shook her head softly. They already do, but they still need someone to blame. Someone to fear. Someone to follow. Daniel's eyes burned in the firelight. Then let them follow the ghost, while I keep fighting in the shadows. In that moment, Daniel Cross ceased to be a man and became something else. A story too sharp to kill. A fire too wide to smother. A shadow too deep to catch. Humanity had birthed its weapon. Not tanks, not nukes, but a ghost. And ghosts do not die. The aliens thought humanity weak. They thought chaos meant collapse. They were wrong. Chaos became fire. Fire became signal. Signal became unity. Across Earth, whispers turned into orders. Messages carried in code, carved into walls, sent in pulses of radio static. Every message signed the same way. Cross. In the bunker beneath Washington, General Hale stood before a map glowing with red markers. Enemy strongholds, alien patrol routes, resource harvest sites. Evelyn Hart pressed her palm against the map's edge. We're no longer shadows in caves. We're an army waiting to be born. Hale's eyes narrowed. Then we make it real. He raised his voice. Soldiers, hackers, scavengers, leaders in exile. Everyone turned to listen. We don't fight alone anymore. From tonight, we fight as one world, one resistance, one species. The bunker erupted. Fists pounded tables. Voices roared. For the first time since the invasion, it sounded like war. But Daniel Cross was not there. He moved far from the speeches, far from the maps, through forests, ruins, and broken roads. He fought where the lines were thin, where alien patrols thought no one watched. He killed quiet. He killed fast. And he always left the same sign burned into stone or steel. Cross. He became a knife, a ghost, and every blade strike whispered, "You are not safe." The aliens felt it. Kurzol paced his command deck. His claws clicked against the steel. Screens displayed casualty reports, supply drain charts, maps of human sabotage. Ridiculous, hissed one officer. This species had no fleet, no shields, no organized war machine. Yet they bleed us. Kurzol stopped. His eyes burned. They bleed us because they are not one machine. They are many. They are fire. Fire is chaos. Chaos spreads. He struck the table with his fist. Deploy more Shriekers. Deploy harvest ships as bait. Trap their ghost. Another officer hesitated. Commander, if the humans unify. Kurzol cut him off, voice sharp. Then we burn them before they remember who they are. But humans were remembering. In Africa, warlords who once fought each other laid down arms, united under one banner. In Europe, broken governments met in underground cathedrals. swearing loyalty not to a country, but to Earth. In Asia, hidden factories turned wreckage into weapons. Drones, explosives, rifles carved from alien scraps. Everywhere the same message spread. We are one. Maya walked beside Daniel on a shattered highway. The sky above burned with alien patrol lights. "You know what you've done?" she asked. Daniel's eyes were cold. "I kill soldiers. That's all." "No," she said. "You gave them a flag. You gave them something larger than life." He stopped walking. His jaw clenched. "They don't need me. They need each other." Maya stepped closer, her voice soft but sharp. "They already have each other, but they needed a spark, and that spark is you." Daniel turned his face away, but in the dark he could not escape the truth. The resistance struck harder. In the deserts of Nevada, ambushes tore apart a fuel convoy. In the mountains of Afghanistan, snipers picked off alien commanders one by one. In the ruins of New York, entire buildings collapsed onto shriekers. Explosives wired to steel. Every strike signed the same way. Every strike whispered the same word. Cross. The aliens grew desperate. On the command ship, Kurzul's patience snapped. He slammed his fist into the table, bending the alloy. They multiply like vermin. They crawl from caves. They sting like insects. Enough. He pointed at the star map of Earth. His voice thundered. "We erase their unity. We tear the myth apart. We will capture Daniel Cross alive, and we will show this world that its ghost can bleed." His council shifted uneasily, but none dared oppose him. Beneath the earth, Hale and Evelyn plotted the opposite. Hale leaned over the table. "They want Cross. That makes him both a weapon and a weakness. We use that." Evelyn nodded. "We leak his movements. Carefully. Enough to bait them. Enough to spread them thin. Then we strike at their command hubs while they chase shadows." Hale's eyes were hard. This isn't survival anymore. This is war. Daniel sat alone in the night, his rifle at his side, his knife resting in his palm. He stared at the fire. Its flames danced like whispers. He thought of the children who believed he was more than human, of the soldiers who painted his name, of the leaders who used him as a banner. And for the first time, Daniel spoke aloud. "If I am their ghost, then let me haunt them to the grave." The fire snapped. The night wind carried his words. Somewhere above, alien patrols searched, but they could not hear the storm that was coming, because the storm had already gathered, and its name was humanity. The aliens believed in their trap. The humans believed in their war. Two blades, one battlefield. The resistance map glowed in the underground bunker. Red marks for alien command hubs, yellow for supply depots, blue for human sabotage cells. General Hale stood tall, his voice like iron. "This isn't about hiding anymore. This isn't about running. Tonight, humanity speaks with one voice." Evelyn Hart moved beside him. Calm, precise. "While they chase Cross, we cut their throat. Their fuel depots, their communication relays, their shriekers, everything they lean on." Murmurs spread through the crowd of fighters. Men, women, soldiers, farmers, exiles, scavengers, united. Hale slammed his hand down. "Tonight we show them what it means to fight Earth." The bunker roared. Far above, Kurzul paced the bridge of his command ship. The trap was set. Screens showed Daniel Cross' last known movements. Bait trails scattered in ruins, in forests, in deserts. The humans thought they hid him, but the aliens had mapped a shadow, or so they believed. "Deploy shriekers in concentric rings," Kurzul growled. "Net him, alive. His capture will break their spirit." An officer bowed. "And if he does not come?" Kurzul's eyes burned. "He will come. He hunts us. He always comes." The ship hummed. Its engines purred like predators waiting for blood. Daniel Cross crouched on a rooftop. The ruined city stretched below. Patrol lights swept the streets. Alien machines crawled, searching, sniffing. Maya beside him, rifle ready, her breathing steady. "You know they're hunting you," she whispered. Daniel's lips barely moved. "Good." She frowned. "Good." He slid the knife across his palm. Not to cut, to feel the weight. The cold. "They want me alive. That makes them weak. Desperate." He looked at her, eyes hollow, hard. "I don't run from traps. I drag them into mine." That night, the resistance moved. In the Nevada desert, drones swarmed alien fuel convoys. Explosions lit the sand. Flames towered. In Paris, humans stormed an alien relay tower. Hand to hand, blade against claw, the tower fell. Signals went dark. In Beijing, hacked drones turned their weapons against their alien masters. The streets burned. Every strike marked the same way. Painted in fire, carved into steel. Cross. The world bled defiance. The aliens responded with fury. Shriekers descended on villages. Cities burned under orbital fire. But the resistance didn't break. The strikes only multiplied. The pain only sharpened the rage. For every city scorched, a dozen ambushes struck back. For every child taken, 100 men swore vengeance. Kurzol watched the chaos spread, his fists clenched. This is no longer a species. This is a plague. Daniel Cross walked into the bait because he wanted it. The ruins of Chicago. Streets silent. Buildings blackened. Ash in the air. The aliens had seeded the city with traps. Shriekers. Hunters. Waiting. Daniel moved through it like a shadow. Knife in hand. Rifle slung. Heart steady. Maya followed, whispering harshly. "This is suicide." Daniel didn't answer. His silence was a blade sharper than words. Every step he took was not toward death. It was toward something larger, toward proving a truth. Humans don't fear traps. They turn them inside out. The alien struck first. Shriekers lunged from the rubble, teeth like razors, screams like metal tearing. Daniel's rifle roared. Bullets tore heads apart. Maya's scope cracked shot after shot. The beasts fell one by one, but more came, crawling, leaping, surrounding. Daniel drew his knife, his breath steady, his eyes cold. "They wanted me alive. They won't get it." On the command ship, Kurzol watched through drone feeds. "There he is," he hissed. The ghost, alive, surrounded. His claws tapped the console. "Do not kill him. Net him. Break his bones. Drag him here." But even as he said it, he felt a knot in his chest. Something wrong. The human was too calm, too willing. And then the feeds began to glitch. Static, smoke, explosions, screams, alien voices crying out. One officer turned, panicked. "Commander, the humans." Kurzol slammed his fist down. "What humans?" He is alone, but he wasn't. The trap had flipped. Resistance cells poured into the ruins. Hidden fighters rising from tunnels, basements shattered rooftops. Explosives detonated. Mines lit the streets with fire. Aliens were the ones caught, surrounded, hunted. Maya's voice cut through the chaos. "They thought they set a trap for you. We set one for them." Daniel's knife flashed, carving through an alien throat. He whispered coldly as blood spilled. "They'll never learn. You don't hunt humanity. Humanity hunts you." Back in the bunker, Hale and Evelyn received the signal. Alien command nodes collapsing. Patrols torn apart. Evelyn smiled for the first time in weeks. "It worked. We cut their nets. We bleed their power." Hale didn't smile. His eyes were hard. This was just the first blow. The war hasn't begun yet. Above, on the command ship, Kurzol stood frozen. His feeds burned with fire. His hunters dead. His trap inverted. He whispered the word humans had made a curse in alien tongues. Cross. For the first time, Kurzol felt it. Not irritation. Not anger. Fear. The sky burned. Cities shattered under alien fire. Ash rained down like hail. Hale gritted his teeth as the warning alarms blared across the bunker. They're hitting everything now. Everywhere. Evelyn Hart scanned the monitors. Orbital bombardment. Direct strike. They're serious. A map of the world displayed the firestorm. Red zones flashed. Civilian sectors. Military strongholds. Supply depots. Alien missiles carved lines of destruction like knives through the night. Hale clenched his fists. Good. That means we're where they think we are weakest. But we're not. Across the ruins of what was once Los Angeles, Daniel Cross moved like a shadow. Smoke and fire lit his path. Behind him, squads of resistance fighters melted from alleys and basements. Explosives primed. Traps set. Every corner of the city had been turned into a killing ground. Ready? Maya asked, eyes narrowed. Daniel didn't respond. He never did. He didn't need to. His silence was enough. Above, Kurzul's command ship hovered. Engines blazing, scanning for Cross. They must be broken by now, he hissed. They must surrender. His screens showed chaos. Human resistance. Explosions. Fires spreading in patterns that made no tactical sense. Yet every strike hit alien positions with surgical precision. A low growl escaped him. They are not broken. They are adapting. Hale's forces launched the first counterstrike. Hacked drones tore through alien aerial units. Mines exploded beneath armored walkers. Heavy rifle fire shredded alien infantry before they could react. From hidden tunnels, humans emerged like shadows. One by one, alien squads were ambushed, cut off, and annihilated. In the bunker, Evelyn Hart grinned. They thought their tech would overwhelm us. They thought numbers mattered. They forgot humans fight smarter when cornered. Daniel crouched atop a scorched building, surveying the chaos. Through the haze, he spotted a shrieker pod, a massive alien war machine. Its claws scraped the ground. Its eyes glowed like molten metal. He smiled, not with joy, not with fear, pure calculation. They brought the big guns. Fine. A flare shot into the sky, signaling the trap. Human squads moved with terrifying coordination. Rockets, mines, sniper fire. The shrieker faltered. Smoke poured from its joints. It collapsed in a twisted heap. Daniel's knife flashed in the firelight. One precise strike to the eye lens. Dead. On the alien command ship, Kurzul's claws pounded the console. Impossible. How are they doing this? They should be dead. His lieutenant trembled. Commander, they are everywhere. The cities are burning. They are controlling the battlefield. Kurzul's eyes burned brighter. Then we bring everything down. Orbital bombardment. Total annihilation. No mercy. Hale intercepted the transmission. They're going to flatten the continents. We need to hit their command nodes. Now, Maya's squad moved silently across ruined streets, planting EMP devices, hacking alien communications. Every node destroyed, every signal cut, every shrieker disabled. Humanity's plan unfolded perfectly. In the heart of Chicago, Daniel Cross faced an alien elite squad. 6 towering creatures, bio-armored, claws flashing. They moved in unison, perfectly coordinated. Daniel smiled. So coordinated. Shame you didn't check the city first. He darted between rubble, moving unpredictably. One alien fell to his knife. Another was shot from above. Maya dropped from a roof, rifle spitting fire. They died in waves. Precision, speed, fury. Kurzul watched through feeds. Panic spread across his face. Stop them. Stop them at all costs. But it was too late. The cities burned. Alien units were crippled. Command nodes destroyed. The resistance moved as one unstoppable tide. Daniel Cross stood amidst the wreckage. smoke curling from alien corpses, fires reflecting in his eyes. This is humanity. We do not break. We adapt. We survive. And we fight back harder. The command ship's hull shook as orbital strikes hit. Explosions tore metal. Systems failed. Kurzul's fury turned into dread. Hale's voice came through encrypted comms. Daniel, it's working. The world is ours. They can't regroup. Daniel looked at the burning skyline. Cities in ruin, but humans still moving, still fighting, still alive. He whispered, almost himself, "This is just the beginning." Across the globe, humans celebrated in shadows. The first major alien retaliation had been met with cunning, force, and adaptation. But they knew this war would escalate. Kurzul would strike harder, smarter, deadlier, and Daniel Cross would be ready. Because humans didn't just survive extinction, they thrived in it. And now, the galaxy was learning that lesson the hard way. The alien command centers thought they controlled the battlefield. They thought humans were cornered. They were wrong. In orbit above Kurzul's homeworld, Hale's fleet assembled. Ships of all shapes and sizes, scarred by decades of survival, glimmered in the starlight. Daniel Cross stood on the bridge of the Horizon's Promise, eyes scanning the tactical displays. Target the main command hub. Disable communications. Don't destroy civilians. They're hostages in this war. Maya, standing beside him, tapped into alien frequencies. They're scrambling to re-establish control, but every channel is jammed. We're ghosts. Hale grinned. Exactly how we like it. Below, on the alien homeworld, Kurzul barked orders. Deploy interceptors. Activate planetary shields. Hunt them down. The alien fleets scrambled, but human ships were already in position. Cloaked drones and adaptive fighters streaked past planetary defenses, hitting missile batteries, sensor arrays, and energy pylons. Explosions blossomed across the surface, fire and smoke rising like storm clouds. Daniel crouched in the command deck, scanning the alien capital city. Buildings towered over the horizon, biostructures intertwined with alien technology. Streets were empty, but they weren't silent. "We go in," Daniel said. "Ground teams ready. Disabling defenses first. Infiltration. Precision strikes. Surprise is our ally." On the surface, humans moved like shadows. Elite squads of engineers, soldiers, and operatives infiltrated alien strongholds. They bypassed security systems, planted explosives, and hacked data cores. Each move calculated, each strike precise, each kill silent. Maya disabled the main energy grid. Lights flickered across alien cities. Turrets powered down. Shields collapsed. "Phase 1 complete," she whispered. Daniel's team stormed the central plaza. Kurzul's lieutenants met them head-on, towering beasts with energy blades. They fell like wheat under a scythe. Humans moved with terrifying efficiency. Adaptive combat, rapid improvisation, and flawless coordination. Above, Hale coordinated orbital strikes. Plasma cannons targeted alien reinforcements. Cloaked ships struck silently, then vanished. "Enemy morale is dropping," he reported. "They can't regroup fast enough. Their systems are failing under pressure." In the heart of the alien capital, Daniel confronted Kurzul's elite guard. They were monstrous, multi-limbed, swift, deadly, yet humans had adapted. Daniel's squad moved in perfect synchronicity. Mine's EMP grenades and precise strikes tore the alien defenses apart. One by one, the guards fell until only Kurzul remained. Kurzul's compound eyes widened. You survived everything." "How?" Daniel smirked, bloodied but unbowed. "Because humans never surrender. Because extinction is not an option. Because we are adaptation incarnate. The final clash was brutal. Energy blades against combat knives, brute force against clever tactics. Kurzweil struck hard, but Daniel predicted, countered, and finally disarmed him. A single knife at his chest, precise, deadly. "Your war ends here," Daniel said. As Kurzweil fell, human operatives broadcast the takeover. Every alien vessel, every planetary base received the message. Humanity fights back. Humanity survives. On distant worlds, alien commanders hesitated. Their forces faltered. Their confidence shattered. Daniel Cross, standing amidst the ruins of the alien capital, looked at the horizon. Flames licked the sky. Smoke rose in thick clouds. Humans had struck fear into the hearts of the galaxy's mightiest. Hale placed a hand on his shoulder. "You did it. We did it. The first strike against the aliens' homeworld. History will remember this day." Daniel smiled, but it wasn't joy. It was calculation. This is just the beginning. They'll retaliate. They'll come back. But we're ready. We always are. Across the diaspora fleet, celebrations erupted. Humans had proven once more. Survival was not enough. They dominated, adapted, and turned the tables. The galaxy was watching now, and humanity was no longer just a species that had survived. It was a species that redefined power, ingenuity, and defiance in the face of cosmic annihilation. The galaxy shifted. Humanity was no longer a scattered refugee fleet. They were a force, a reckoning. Daniel Cross stood on the bridge of the horizon's promise, gazing at the Sol system. Once a quiet, forgotten set of planets, it was now a beacon of human resilience. "All stations report," Hale said. "Satellites operational. Mining colonies established. Defense grids online. The outer planets are secure." Daniel nodded. "Begin reclamation of the inner system. Focus on Mars, Europa, Titan. Establish bases, secure resources, and prepare defenses. The aliens will retaliate. We need to be ready." Below, human engineers and combat units moved like clockwork. Mars, converted into a fortified hub, its thin atmosphere augmented with terraforming shields. Europa, subsurface colonies carved into icy caverns, hydroponic farms providing sustenance. Titan, heavy artillery and orbital defenses ready to fire. Every move was calculated, every system interconnected. Efficiency born of decades of survival. The alien remnants were panicked. Kurzweil's defeat had shattered morale. Command nodes were lost. Communications disrupted. Alien fleets scattered across sectors, uncertain who was friend or foe. Their intelligence reports failed to account for human ingenuity. They thought humanity fragile, cornered, predictable. They were wrong. Daniel Cross convened a council aboard the Horizon's Promise. Hale, Maya, Admiral Hart, and Dr. Qasim Nuri, humanity's chief scientist, were present. "Next," Daniel began, voice calm but commanding, "we consolidate our gains. Alien factions will regroup, but they underestimate one thing. We do not merely survive. We adapt, we evolve, we dominate when necessary." Dr. Nuri's holographic displays lit the room. Alien fleets are redistributing. They plan multiple strikes, targeting our outer colonies. But their coordination is weak. We can exploit this. Hale smirked. "Divide and conquer. Our specialty." Meanwhile, on Europa, human strike teams infiltrated alien forward positions. Stealth drones navigated the icy caverns. Mines and EMP devices were placed with surgical precision. Alien patrols fell to silent takedowns. Their armor hacked and turned against them. "Every planet we secure strengthens the fleet," Maya said, scanning the perimeter. "And every alien we defeat reminds them who they're dealing with." Back on the Horizon's Promise, Daniel and Hale monitored alien communications. They're panicking, Hale noted. Faction leaders arguing over strategy, blaming each other. They've lost initiative. Daniel's eyes narrowed. Good. Confusion is our ally. Prepare the fleet for the next phase. Surgical strikes at their homeworlds. Disable supply lines. Capture key leaders and force surrender talks. Show them humanity does not negotiate from weakness. The first strike team departed. Human corvettes modified for speed and stealth, cutting through alien space undetected. Each ship carried elite operatives and hacking squads. Their mission: infiltrate, disable, and extract intelligence. Explosions erupted in alien forward bases. EMP bursts disabled defense arrays. Communications hacked and rerouted. Entire sectors fell silent. Alien commanders could not comprehend the precision. They move like shadows, like predators, one reported. Daniel crossed his arms. Exactly. We've adapted to their perception of us. We turn weakness into strength. Every corner of the galaxy now fears what they called extinct humans. On Titan, orbital platforms fired warning shots at approaching alien ships. The aliens hesitated. Humans had reclaimed their systems too efficiently. Defense grids were online, energy shields reinforced, and orbital fighters ready. Daniel watched from the bridge as alien ships attempted maneuvers only to be trapped in orbital nets. "Welcome to our backyard," he said coldly. Simultaneously, Dr. Nuri deployed scientific disruption units, adaptive devices capable of shutting down alien power systems without destroying infrastructure. "It's beautiful," Dr. Nuri said. "We don't just fight them, we control the environment. We shape the battlefield. They have no choice but to respond on our terms." Daniel smiled grimly. "And they will." Across the diaspora fleet, humans prepared to declare the Sol system reclaimed. Flags raised, banners projected across space, colonies fortified. Human presence was now undeniable. Alien factions scrambled. Reinforcements from distant sectors attempted counterattacks, only to fall prey to ambushes, sabotage supply lines, and tactical brilliance. Every victory bolstered morale. Every alien defeat reinforced human supremacy in strategy, adaptation, and resilience. As Daniel Cross stood atop the command deck, watching the galaxy bending to humanity's will, he whispered, "This is our second act. Not just survival, but reclamation. Not just defense, but domination. The galaxy will remember extinction was never an option for humanity. And in every sector, humans prepared for the final push. The aliens' overconfidence had become their weakness, and humanity's audacity, ingenuity, and relentless drive would now define the war and the galactic legacy of the human race. The galaxy held its breath. Humanity's diaspora fleet hovered over the central command nodes of the alien factions, a web of steel, fire, and adaptive technology. No one had anticipated that what the aliens thought was a fractured, hiding species would rise to challenge their dominance in every sector. Daniel Cross stood on the bridge of the Horizon's Promise, eyes scanning the holographic display. Every system, every fleet, every weak point highlighted in red and gold. They're concentrated around the outer systems, trying to regroup, Hale reported. "They don't know what's coming," Daniel said. "Sir, tactical projections?" Maya asked. Daniel tapped a control pad, bringing up a 3D simulation of alien networks, orbital platforms, and fleet positions. "We strike at the heart, cut command nodes, disrupt communications, force surrender talks. We will let no alien force remain unified against us." Across the galaxy, humans moved with unrelenting precision. Strike teams infiltrated alien command stations. Hackers disabled shields from within. orbital artillery, selectively targeted supply depots. No human life lost unnecessarily. The operation was surgical, intelligence-driven, and mercilessly efficient. Alien leaders convened in panic. Kurzweil snarled at his holoboard, clawed appendages trembling. They are everywhere. How is this possible? They were supposed to be extinct. Other leaders shouted, arguing, blaming one another for the unexpected resurgence. Their coordination collapsed. Every sector reported failures, rebellions within ranks, and lost communications. On Titan, orbital defense stations engaged alien dreadnoughts. The massive vessels fired volleys of plasma, only to find their attacks countered by adaptive human shields and refractive energy dispersers. Humans exploited alien overconfidence. Every attack predicted, every move anticipated. From the bridge of Horizon's promise, Daniel watched as alien formations faltered. They never considered how fast humans adapt, he murmured. They never imagined we'd survive, let alone fight like this. Meanwhile, in the Sol System's inner colonies, human engineers reinforced planetary defenses. Mars' terraforming shields expanded. Europa's hydroponic farms fed orbital fleets. Titan's artillery platforms hummed with energy, ready for decisive strikes. Every human colony contributed intelligence, weapons, and resources. The diaspora fleet functioned as a single organism, orchestrated with precision that no alien could match. Then came the first decisive strike. Human corvettes, cloaked by adaptive stealth, approached the alien Central Command planet, previously considered untouchable. Hale's voice crackled over comms. "Ready to breach, Captain." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "Deploy EMP arrays. Target command hubs first. Disable weapons. Hold fire until we have full control." The corvettes dropped from hyperspace. EMP waves cascaded, shutting down alien defenses. Orbitals went dark. Communications fell silent. Alien fleets panicked, attempting haphazard maneuvers only to collide with each other in confusion. From the bridge of the Horizon's promise, Daniel grinned. "Chaos is our ally. Let's finish this." Ground teams landed on the alien planet. Elite units moved with silent precision, hacking core systems, neutralizing guards, and seizing command centers. Every step was measured, every action calculated. Humanity was no longer vulnerable, it was dominant. Kurzweil and the remaining alien council convened in a panic chamber. We cannot fight them," one yelled. "They adapt faster than we can react," another screamed. The realization hit them. They had underestimated humans for the last time. Daniel and his strike commander, Hale, observed the final surrender signals. The aliens transmitted a formal capitulation. All alien factions under the Confederation coalition submit to human authority within Sol System. Resistance terminated. Daniel's calm voice echoed across the fleet. Humanity reclaims its home system. No further attacks tolerated. Any further aggression will be met with full force. Humanity survives and thrives. Celebrations erupted across the diaspora fleet. Human voices, laughter, and cheers replaced the sterile hum of command consoles. Colonies lit up in festive projections. Banners of Earth, Mars, Europa, Titan displayed boldly. For the first time in decades, humanity was whole, united, and unchallenged in its claimed territories. But Daniel knew this victory was more than territorial. It was proof that humanity could survive extinction, adapt against impossible odds, and assert itself as a galactic power. The humans hadn't just reclaimed space, they had reclaimed their destiny. Months later, Horizon's Promise hosted the first interstellar assembly with alien delegates attending under human supervision. Admiral Hart addressed the council. Let this serve as a reminder. The species you once deemed extinct has returned stronger than ever. We value coexistence, but we will never be underestimated again. Humanity is not merely survivors. We are the architects of our future. Dr. Qasim Nouri activated the projection array, showing humanity's journey from refugee fleet to galactic power. Images of rebuilt colonies, adaptive technologies, and united fleets displayed for all to witness. Even the alien delegates were forced to respect the ingenuity, resilience, and HFY brilliance of the humans before them. Daniel Cross looked out at the stars. The galaxy was vast, but now humanity had its place among them, not as pawns, not as refugees, but as equals. And somewhere deep in his heart, he knew this was only the beginning. The universe was wide, full of challenges, wonders, and mysteries, and humans would face them head-on. Extinction had never been an option. Survival had led to dominance. Adaptation had led to supremacy. The second act of humanity had begun, and the galaxy would never forget it.